Hey guys, it is Sunday night, and even though we're running a little behind schedule, we are still BM Cluster. And we are doing something a little crazy here this week. We are discussing all of the Marvel movies going from, or I'm sorry, all the superhero movies, I keep saying Marvel movies, going forward from Iron Man 3 on. And we're doing it with a group of people that are not normally on the show. So we are live at Famous Faces and Funnies, and today we are with Rick Shea, owner of Famous Faces and Funnies. And we are with actor, comedian, improviser, comic book geek extraordinaire, Fawad Siddiqui. And we're with Brandon.
Hey.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all of the superhero films that have come out, just what we thought about them and what we think they did right, what we think they did wrong. There are going to be spoilers, so if you haven't seen any of these movies, you might not want to watch this show yet. So we're just going to go ahead and start with Iron Man 3 if you guys are ready. All right, cool.
Oh, yeah.
So, with Iron Man 3, I loved that movie. I thought it was great. I wanted to see a story about Tony Stark. I wanted to see how the Avengers affected him, and I think I got that. It took a toll on him. What I didn't like so much was I actually liked the Mandarin story until they revealed it was Trevor. I still thought it was kind of cool, but it wasn't a real villain, and I thought that was a little bit cheesy. And but overall, I liked it. It was not as good as 1, but better than 2.
When I first saw Iron Man 3, I was extremely pissed off when they revealed that the Mandarin was a fake. Outside of the Mandarin being a fake, I actually did like it. I liked the character development of Tony Stark. I liked that there was 42 of his, well, actually it wasn't quite 42 because the first few were in the place. But anyway, overall good, and I like the fact that they actually did fix that there is a Mandarin.
I also really enjoyed Iron Man 3. I thought it was really, really good. And even though I was a little disappointed to the same as everyone else that the Mandarin wasn't fully on the Mandarin that we were expecting, I thought it was an interesting twist and kind of got you where you weren't expecting that. So I enjoyed it overall. I thought it was interesting going back to a more personal movie after Avengers 2 and Avengers and the giant scope of that, going back to Iron Man solo movie. But yeah, they did a great job with it, and I was very, very happy with it overall.
Hey, Iron Man is the Superman of this generation. It's the comic book hero that kicked off the current comic craze, Blade notwithstanding, the success of Iron Man 1 and Robert Downey Jr. creating this leading man hero. And that love story between him and Pepper Potts, which is real interesting because it's one that never came to fruition in the comics but was kind of supposed to. It's carried through 3 movies. It's satisfying. Shane Black was a good action director. It did a good job. It's funny as hell. Marvel's making fun comic movies, unlike DC, which makes depressing pieces of crap. And it was a fun time. I loved the little kid goofing around with this guy. And the thing is, how do you keep a comic book movie from being boring? And they're doing it well by mixing it up.
All right. And next on the agenda, we are talking about Man of Steel. So I'm going to go ahead and get going with that. Really surprised by this movie. I was super concerned, pun intended, about how bad it was going to be. I just didn't think they were going to do a really good job, and they totally caught me off guard. I thought they did a great reboot of the series. I thought they managed to give an homage to all of the other franchises without being stupid about it and throwing all these things in your face. It was just, overall, it was a great character and a great movie, in my opinion.
I was really surprised as well at Man of Steel. Given the previews, I had major concerns as well, especially with Jonathan Kent being his dad and some of the things he said in the previews. But overall, it was very good. I loved the fight scenes in the movie. So good. And you could tell the destruction of the city was like, I don't even know, like that was amazing to me. I liked some of the changes with the characters that they had, but we'll get into a bit more of that in a bit.
I also really liked the movie quite a bit. The previous movie that just didn't catch a few years earlier was kind of just so low action and just boring, and not every comic movie needs to be just punching everything and destroying cities, but for this movie I thought it worked, and I had no problem with the ending. A lot of people, were up in arms over, oh, Superman shouldn't kill and so on, but for me it didn't faze me. What's he supposed to do? Let these other innocent people die for no reason? So I thought it was a great movie. I really, really enjoyed it.
This movie, as I like to call it, Superman saves nobody at all. Super Jor-El saves a bunch of people at the start. Super Jor-El is awesome, and you see Zack Snyder's like music video director background, this cool funky alien Krypton. Okay, cool. Super young Clark Kent saves a bunch of people, saves the kids in the bus. Although no secret identity at all, right? Let's just throw that out after 75 years. Who needs it? And then Superman saves absolutely nobody. Destroys a city, kills a bunch of people, everybody dies, big fight, depressing piece of crap. No way to continue a franchise that makes any sense. Marvel has people that are nerds, like Kevin Feige, that have respect for the whole history of a character. DC just wants to take people's underwear off and put them in big fights. No, but it was epic and fun, and Kevin Costner's moral is, don't be Superman.
Right.
Wow.
That makes sense.
So we're going to have an interesting discussion on
That
movie.
will be very interesting.
I loved Super Jor-El's dragon
Okay,
lizard
so we're
butterfly.
moving on.
Awesome.
We've got the Wolverine up next. And I think the best way I can sum up the Wolverine is kind of like what Brandon just did. It was a terrible movie. They got so much wrong. They got the Silver Surfer wrong. Viper.
Silver Surfer, really?
The Silver Samurai.
Quick cameo in the background.
yeah, it was so bad you guys didn't even see it. The Silver Samurai was terrible. Viper was flat. It was just Hugh Jackman was Wolverine. I mean, just he was running around stabbing stuff. So that was good. But overall, it was just terrible. Brandon.
I don't even know. Like this Silver Samurai was not supposed to be her grandfather. It was supposed to be the guy shooting the arrows. Viper's not supposed to be a mutant. I don't know. I give up.
Right. I did not hate it as much as the rest of the panel, but I wasn't floored by it either. But it did work on some of the elements from the original Wolverine miniseries from the 80s, which was pretty solid. And I thought it was cool. They had the part about him being there for Hiroshima and stuff like that. I thought that was interesting. That was taken from one of my favorite Wolverine stories. So there were some cool elements to it. Yeah, they're basically the same complaints that they had, but I didn't hate it quite as much as everyone else. So.
To appreciate the Wolverine, you must fully appreciate how horrible and crappy Wolverine Origins was.
Right.
Let's go on the Wayback Machine.
Right.
Let's go on the Wayback Machine to a time when Will.i.am is teleporting around a movie as a mutant, and Wolverine is chopping fire escapes like the goddamn like out of a Bugs Bunny cartoon, chopping as Gambit flips around with powers. In a horrible, stupid movie with a crazy climax at the end. So this movie was much better than that piece of crap.
What Origins?
Wolverine Origins,
What?
X-Men Origins, Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Much better movie than that one was.
All right.
Next on the list?
All right, and next up is Thor 2, Dark World.
That's a good movie.
And here I go. Loved this movie. This was the first Marvel movie that really surprised me as a movie. And I've been saying this since then. They've really figured out the business of making movies, not superhero movies, just movies. It was an engaging story. I really enjoyed the relationship between Loki and Thor. Really enjoyed the stuff on Asgard.
Asgard?
Asgard, yes. I've always called it Asgard. I'm looking forward to more of these movies. I can't wait for them to come out.
I really enjoyed Thor 2 as well. Not just for the action, but some of the character development. Although I do wonder where they're going to go with Jane, because I don't think she wants to act anymore. At least not in the Thor movies. I do, however, wish that Thor didn't get punked so much by the Dark Elves. I mean, he got the shit beat out of him pretty bad. Outside of that, like I said, it was pretty good. I enjoyed the comedy aspects.
Yeah, I've got some more stuff to say about that too when we're done.
Right. I enjoyed Thor 2 quite a bit. I thought they The overall story was really good. The interaction with Loki and Thor was fantastic as always, and they did a great job with all that. I did like the relationship aspects. I felt like Thor 1, it was like he only paid attention to her the last 5 minutes. It was like, oh yeah, she's in love with me. I should go back to Earth. And I just felt like that was the only part that, not that I race out to superhero movies for the romantic aspect, but it just felt very, I don't know, squeezed in at the end. Whereas this movie, I felt like it really worked and did a good job overall. So I like Thor 2 a lot more than I like Thor 1 even.
Yeah. Great movie. Great movie. Again, Kevin Feige, head of Marvel Studios, nerd, assembles good teams of nerds, knows the whole history of the characters, tries to cram it in. Gave it that sci-fi aspect that is the only way to make this character kind of credible, which they figured out in the first movie. Otherwise, it's a stupid character from Marvel Comics. I mean, Stan Lee, drinking or something, comes up with this crazy mix of characters for the Avengers. I'm gonna have a giant gamma anger man, a guy with a metal costume, frozen super soldier, and an Asgardian Norse god. Everything. So, so Feige's taking the Stan Lee stuff, and it was a super fun movie. I listened to director commentary. It's great. Hiddleston, Tom Hiddleston is great. I love him. He's dreamy.
All right.
Oh, Doctor Who. Doctor Who was a badass villain in that.
Learn more about Fubby than we wanted to.
Doctor Who was a badass villain in that. That was Doctor Who, the villain.
All right. So we're moving on. Next one is another Marvel movie. Actually, most of these are Marvel movies in this part, or this phase that we've been going through. It's Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
That's a good one.
Another very solid entry in the movie. However, I really think this should have been called S.H.I.E.L.D. the movie, because it was about S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain America was the eyes through which we saw the story, but it was a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie. And much like the X-Men movies, they've been told from Wolverine's point of view. This was a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie told from Captain America's point of view. I thought it was kind of interesting. I like the Winter Soldier, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else they do with the character. And Armin Zola's character as the computer, spot the fuck on. I really like that. I really enjoyed this movie.
I was surprised with Captain America 2. I did not expect anywhere near as much action as I got, and with that, the brutality of Captain America, with him being, honestly, let's be blunt here, the murderous son of a bitch that he is, was awesome.
Who'd he kill?
Hands down, like probably, I would say out of the movies that we're going to discuss here, probably my favorite one.
I also really enjoyed Captain America 2. I thought they did a phenomenal job with the Winter Soldier and incorporating that in. When they first brought him back in the comics, it was like, you're going to bring back a character that's been dead for 65 years? But they found a way to make it work, and the movies did a great job expanding on that. So I really enjoyed everything about it, start to finish, and it'll be interesting to see. They've got that actor hooked in for 9 movies, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with, maybe him taking over the Captain America role at some point. We'll see if they go the Civil War route and go from there. So.
For what's been described accurately as nobody's favorite character, Captain America, again, Marvel Studios doing a fantastic job handling their franchise and their business, and I like the supporting cast was great. All these buff guys, they're like kind of badass buff guys in the background. One of the guys was in 302. One of that other guy, credible, like. Sufficient, like, if Captain America didn't exist, these guys would be badass, but then Captain America is more badass, and then fights ensue. It was cool. Much better than that piece of crap Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show.
Whoa.
Much better.
Whoa.
Much better.
Whoa. Wow. Okay.
They
So
should
this is
just
gonna
take
a turn for
that
the worse.
and make that a show. It'd be great. But no, Captain America's good. I like that. Robert Redford. Hey, Robert Redford. Robert Redford was really good, too. It was cool. Oh, and I don't like that Black Widow. She ain't muscular enough to be fighting.
All right, we need to move on.
Those boobs are soft targets.
Next one is Spider-Man, or The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is something I had issues with. The beginning of the movie was too cartoony for me. I thought the character that Paul Giamatti played, Rhino, was just right out of a Saturday morning cartoon, as opposed to being a really fully fleshed out character. Max was terrible as a person, as a character. I hated him until he became Electro. The second half of the movie gets way better. Gwen Stacy's story arc was executed really well. foreshadowing. And it just, I loved Electro and Spidey's initial meeting and the conversation that they had. But they actually make you feel for the villain. And overall, I thought it was pretty good. But the beginning of the movie I could have done without. Can't wait for the follow-up movies.
Yeah. So this movie had one good point. Gwen Stacy died. Outside of that, he's not Peter Parker. Peter Parker's smart. This guy's an idiot. Anyway.
Right. I agree. I also did not really care for this movie, to put it lightly. I felt like the turn for Electro was just cheesy as origin of it's my birthday. Like, it was just so cheesy. It was like he was Milton from Office Space or Jerry from Parks and Rec, and get superpowers. And I just felt like it just didn't work for me. For an Academy Award-winning actor, I felt like the plot was super cheesy for his story. And just overall, yeah, I liked the end with Gwen Stacy dying. That was about it. Outside of that, I just did not care for the movie. I thought it was cheesy, and the script was pretty weak for what could have been an interesting movie. So.
I liked it okay. It was pretty fun. My soul is dead already from comic book movies, so I went in with no expectations. Like, whatever. And it was cool. It was cool. It's fine. I have no idea how Electro got defeated at the end. I was trying to ask everybody, did he get punched in the face?
He got overcharged.
Overcharged. They didn't reverse his polarity? They overcharged him?
They charged him too much.
No water?
He didn't go to Geico.
Cool. When they had him reconstitute his molecules from nothing, then they made him too powerful. I would like to suggest that's too powerful when you can make yourself back up from absolutely nothing into a living creature that can have superpowers.
That's from, Watchmen.
Little too much. Yeah, Watchmen there. But no, like you said, it was kind of different elements worked good. So, it's fun times in that movie.
All right. And I'm going to speak very slowly here because we are going to talk about X-Men Days of Future Past, which some of us on this panel apparently have not seen. Okay. All right. So, this movie, I thought it was entertaining, and I really liked it, but it wasn't a particularly strong film. It was, however, a brilliant way for them to course correct from some of the more egregious garbage that's been put out in the name of the X-Men. It was a very convoluted before they got to this. Fox put together a group of movies that could have been done really well and just didn't, or weren't done.
It's Fox.
Yeah, exactly. But Raven, Mystique, rawr, awesome. I mean, she was really good. It was good to see the originals again, and I think the new cast is doing really well, and I think the franchise is really at a turning point at this time.
I really enjoyed this movie, and I was surprised. It was like, I watched it and I got to the end. I was like, "Holy crap, Fox! Like you not only made a good X-Men, you managed to fix a whole bunch of your other shit, all at the same time." And so, no, very good. Bravo, Fox. I hope they continue it with X-Men Apocalypse, but we'll have to see.
Right. I also like this quite a bit, and feel like Days of Future Past is one of the definitive X-Men stories. I wouldn't have minded seeing a bit more of the future or kind of the actual fighting with Sentinels and everything. But overall, it was really good. My one big question mark is, where did Shadowcat suddenly have time travel sort of powers? But other than that, we'll just assume that's a secondary mutation, which is something they put into the books and had a few characters have. But overall, they did a great job with it, and it was a really, really fun movie. Some of the characters like Blink and and Bishop and Colossus and stuff who had great roles in the future, so it was good to see some characters like that spotlighted for at least a part of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it quite a bit.
All right, Fubby. Fubby. Oh yeah, that's right. Fubby hasn't seen the movie. But all right, so that was kind of like our just real quick overview of the way each one of them felt. But so one of my questions and this is specifically for Rick and Fawad. How do you think the comic book movies are doing in comparison to the movie or the actual comics?
Overall, I feel like for the most part they're doing a great job on really getting these characters out there to people that may or may not have any sort of familiarity with the characters before, and the fact that so many of these characters are I won't say always easily translated to other media, but they've made the jump and made the corrections they needed to kind of make the characters make sense. For the most part, it's been great. There's a few comic movies that are duds here and there, but for the majority of them, I've enjoyed most of what's come out the last few years. So I think they're doing a great job on getting these characters out to a new audience, and it's certainly working on getting new people into my store. So very happy with that. I can't knock that either.
It's fun, exciting. It's also kind of sad. I mean, at the inception of comic books was this media craze. When Superman came out in 38, right?
Right.
He took over. I mean, overnight, suddenly he was on everything. He was the first superhero. He had a radio show. He was on cereal boxes. There was a movie serial shortly. There was everything, and big business, because newspaper strips were big business at the time, realized, hey, this is a way to cash in. They'd already had these robber barons that were competing over cartoonists earlier, and superheroes became this huge thing, and it was all over the radio, it was all over everything. Over the years, it became a children's, well, it started as a children's medium, but it remained solidly as that. Now we're at a point where everyone's grown up, and the audience base has grown up, and weirdly, the globalization of the markets and this, what is it called, monopolization, and all these mega corporations gobbling each other up. Superheroes have become a weird stepchild of that, because as Disney buys, Marvel buys this, buys that, and Warner Brothers buys this, that, they've realized that these comic book companies are great idea houses for films, and the audience is there, so it's exploding. I don't know what the ramifications are for our society, but it's certainly an interesting time with a lot of these properties now coming into their own with creators that have respect for the subject matter. But I'm interested to see where it's going to lead to, what's going to be, because it's not for kids anymore. So.
Oh, I have to agree with that. And I believe you were talking earlier about someone that made the comment that they were disturbed with the current fascination with superhero movies.
Yeah, Alan Moore, arguably like kind of the architect of a lot of what we're seeing. Between him and Frank Miller kind of setting the stage for all the superhero stuff that we're seeing now becoming really big, has commented that he's troubled by the fascination with superheroes in pop culture, given that these are archetypes meant for an earlier, simpler age, and it's all these adults kind of regressing and obsessing over these kind of childhood power fantasies, and maybe not coming up with new archetypes to deal with the complexity of the modern world. That's his thought, but obviously he's going to get disagreement from the creators.
I disagree with that, because some of the things that I really enjoy about these movies is they're bringing my childhood to life.
Right.
Stepping outside of the movies that we talked about so far, Transformers. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're great movies, but that first time Optimus Prime transformed on screen and said, "I am Optimus Prime," right. I turned into a 6-year-old.
Right.
I loved that moment.
Well, that's the argument, that these things are just turning us on to 6-year-olds.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
At the same time, though, I mean, they are, a lot, at least with the more current movies, dealing with adult situations.
Yeah.
Even within our society. So I would completely disagree with that. I mean, we look at Iron Man. They dealt with stuff in the Middle East.
Yep.
That happens. That stuff goes on. They dealt with that.
Did they invade Iraq?
So I mean, I don't.
They're trying.
What more do you want?
They're trying to make it relevant, obviously. But what's interesting is that there's a militarism that's having to become worked into the stories, and there is a surveillance security state and military-industrial complex that's having to be worked and fueled and all this stuff. But they're trying. Like the Iron Man, Captain America 2 dealt with that. So yeah, it's not so one-sided, but I think Alan Moore raises some interesting points, and
But my argument on that is, what's wrong with turning into a 6-year-old for 2 hours? What's wrong with remembering that and having it be a fond memory? Mm-hmm. That time in my life, I'm not going to say the best things happened during that time. Hell, I probably don't remember most of what happened during that time. But I remember sitting down and watching Optimus Prime. I remember sitting down and watching X-Men and the Wolverine. Wait. Yeah. Yes, X-Men. It was Wolverine and the X-Men now, but X-Men and coming to love these characters, and that is what I really appreciate about what's happening now in the movies, is the fact that I actually get to see these things in a realistic fashion.
Well, look, you were a 6-year-old at the teat of a mega corporation that was trying to sell you toys back then and cereal. The question is, are the mega corporations of today as benign as they were back then, right? Because That was the Cold War. That was Japan meets America, trying to sell you these transforming figures. Now who the hell is trying to sell you what? And do they have a vote? I mean, they're treated as people by the Supreme Court. It's a weird time. Maybe that's what Alan Moore's saying. Like, hey, wait, who's selling you the toys? But anyway, look, I don't want to be a downer. I like comic books.
All right. So in the franchises that we talked about tonight so far, what do you think the worst mistakes have been that they've put on screen versus what's in the comic book stories?
Worst mistakes?
Worst mistakes.
Wolverine, not the character, because I mean I like him, I like Hugh Jackman,
Worst
but
mistakes.
I would say Wolverine Origins / the Wolverine. What is it? Just the Wolverine?
Well, we're just talking about the Wolverine, but I mean, just overall.
That's probably one of the more egregious ones. The other one, the major one for me, because Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, has got to be the dumbing down of Peter Parker.
Oh, get over the dumbing down of Peter Parker. Peter
No. Tony
Andrew
Stark.
Garfield is just fine as Peter Parker in this movie.
He's
He
not.
is just fine.
All right, so
So
Tony
much better
Stark.
than that Sam Raimi piece of
Tony
crap.
Stark. Tony Stark said, or not said. Tony Stark is a super genius, right?
Yes.
Peter Parker, as a character, is supposed to be on par in terms of intelligence
Bruce
with
Banner
him.
said the same thing. Yes, Peter Parker is supposed to be smart, but he doesn't have to be this nerdy little,
And
like,
getting corrected by Gwen Stacy with science stuff, that's just bullshit.
Yeah.
So she thought of something he didn't think about. What's
No,
the big deal?
because that's what makes Peter Parker Peter Parker. You're
Okay.
taking away the core of the character.
But he was dressed up as Spider-Man.
He's supposed to be this nerd and this really intelligent guy who gets made fun of a lot. Instead, you get some skater kid.
But Peter
What the hell?
What difference does it make if he's a social outcast?
Because that's what makes him who he is.
I disagree. I completely disagree on that.
Go read Spider-Man #1.
Yeah, I will admit I am not a Spider-Man.
It's actually Amazing
aficionado.
Fantasy issue number.
Yes, I know.
15.
I know. I'm just saying though. At least you two know what I'm talking about. That's the core of Peter
I don't
Parker.
know. I didn't have a problem with Andrew Garfield.
I
as
don't
Peter
mind
Parker.
that.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, so let's get to the real problem. It's the lack of underwear on superheroes. God damn it. 75 years we've had superheroes with underwear outside their pants, and now it's not realistic. The guy's flying around. He's flying around. He's from space. The guy's swinging on a friggin' rope from building to building without hurting himself. And this idiot's got Spider-Man. He got bit by a spider, so he's a radioactive spider. And the other one's a Norse god from Asgard. But underwear outside of the pants is super unrealistic, dudes. Stupid.
Well, let's put it this way. Would you like to see Hugh Jackman in yellow spandex?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Really?
I
wanna
would
see
not.
It's called suspension of disbelief.
Some of it works.
Let's clear something up. I'm heterosexual. Not that not being heterosexual is a bad thing, but that man has the body of a superhero.
Who? Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman.
Currently, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
He works out.
the man is huge. I have no problem with the way they portray him as Wolverine now. I could care less if he's in yellow spandex.
No, but look.
Well, I don't want to see him
Look.
because I just don't think it fits. Like with certain characters, it works. Superman, obviously, because they that just works. But I don't want to see Batman in tights.
Why not?
I like armor.
Right.
I like the armor version of him. Spider-Man works as spandex.
In
Very,
Batman, they still
very
delineate the
select
crotch area,
ones.
though. I just want some crotch lines.
Do you don't want nipples on the batsuit?
No, nipples.
Oh, you don't want a zipper on the ass either?
Yeah, no, zipper on the ass, batsuit, that's fine, Like,
Oh,
how
zipper's
does he go to the
ridiculous.
bathroom in that thing? I mean...
I'm just saying, suspension of disbelief. All this realistic realism. Screw you. None of that crap is realistic.
So
None of
it's
it.
not- it doesn't have to be tacky
Realistic.
to be fantasy. And that's what it would end up being if they put them in
Yeah.
yellow spandex and all these flamboyantly colored
No, I think
suits.
it has to do with the director. Bryan Singer had a great touch when he translated into the leather for the first X-Men. He did it well. He like.
I even enjoyed that line.
Yeah.
Would
He
you
even
prefer
addressed-
yellow
Right,
spandex?
but
I was
I
like,
think
all right, I'm good with it.
what's the word? He he implies the costumes from the
Yes.
comics. I like that better than people going, "Oh, they're unrealistic. We're gonna correct it." I hate the idea that a movie producer is gonna fix, like Green Lantern, that piece of crap movie. They're gonna fix the characters, and Hollywood's always has this issue, and now they're finally learning because Kevin Feige and these nerds are actually running the thing now, but of fixing. So I'm glad that we're getting away from the idea that these characters that have been super successful, became the most popular characters in the history of the world, need to be fixed by Hollywood. By Jews. No. No, but Jews created them in the first place. Jews created them in the first place. I love Jews. Jews created comic books and stand-up comedy. I love Jews. Thank you, Jews.
Okay, so we talked about Wolverine.
Gay
a lot.
Jews.
We talked about Wolverine a lot, and this might be a sad thing to even think about, but you know, Hugh Jackman's not getting any younger. When he decides to step down from the mantle of Wolverine, who should take over?
What?
I honestly don't know who should take over, but I do know it's gonna happen soon. It's gonna probably happen after this next Apocalypse, and then follow up with a Wolverine 3 movie, because they are doing that. I think it'll be right after that, because even if he doesn't want to do it anymore, they just can't have him do it anymore and still actually be Wolverine, because Wolverine's not supposed to age like that.
Right.
I don't know who could really follow up in that role.
Yeah, well, he's made it iconic. You know, I mean, this man really embodied what people expect of Wolverine.
No. Now, yes. But when it first was announced that Hugh Jackman was going to be Wolverine, people were like, Wolverine's supposed to be a little short dude.
Right. Yeah, so people bitch all the time.
Right.
You know, but he has taken the role.
Yes, no,
and he's
but
really
hands
elevated
down, he now it's like when I think of Wolverine now, I think of Hugh Jackman.
For the record, Wolverine, my favorite comic book character. I love Wolverine for many reasons. I think he's really layered. Whenever you get into that conversation...
you don't like Sabretooth's brother?
You know, I didn't hate that. I didn't hate that. It was
go
stupid.
Away.
It was stupid.
Go away.
No. It was stupid in terms of...
Peter Parker's okay being dumb. Sabretooth's okay being Wolverine's brother.
It was
you are
stupid.
not a comic book nerd at all.
It was stupid in terms of story, but the acting of Liam Shriver and Hugh Jackman made their relationship
The
okay.
acting was fine, and the camaraderie was fine. Making it his brother was
dumb.
shitty.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Well, I don't think they need to recast Wolverine. I think the character, they've had him with gray hair and stuff in the comics before. Guy works it out. He'll be fine.
He doesn't
want to do that all the time.
Oh, he doesn't want to be Wolverine anymore?
No.
Like, because
No.
it's too much
It
on his
takes
body.
a toll on him.
Okay, whatever. So they'll get someone else. They do that. They got two
But the question
Quicksilvers.
is-
They got
the
two
question-
Quicksilvers in
the
movies
question
right
is
now.
who?
I don't think they care.
Well, Marvel has one, and then Fox has one.
Yeah, whatever.
So, but who would you want to see in that role?
A dwarf, a short. I want
Like
to go back
who?
to the original.
Do you think they should pick
Danny
it unknown?
DeVito
Danny.
should be Wolverine again, as he was almost in the 80s.
You know, it's funny. Someone, I can't think of the actor's name right now, but he's a short little chubby guy. The actor's dead now. I can't think of his name though. But they wanted him for the Wolverine.
They originally wanted Glenn Danzig, and Glenn Danzig wanted to play him, and he's 5'3", he's the exact right height and everything. He had about the right build, and it was just one of those things where
Glenn Danzig is 5'3"?
He is. Yeah, I caught him at San Diego. He is definitely 5'3". He is, and he is. He's
Mother.
Right, yeah, I know, and he wanted to be the part, and it was one of those things that was like, well, and then just didn't end up happening. But at the time, it was
Oh, mind blown.
What about you?
Danzig is
I actually had a few
5'3".
people.
Hollywood.
There's
Really?
one guy that I wanted as Batman. It's like before they announced Batfleck, I think Gerard Butler would be a good character. You know who I think would have been a good character if
Maybe.
if they
Been punched in
didn't
the face
go
many
with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? Liam Neeson. I
Liam
think Liam
is
Neeson would have
great.
been a great Wolverine. He's too old now.
No, he's not too old. Liam Neeson is great. Liam Neeson is Macho
Chuck Norris.
Jesus. Liam Neeson is Macho Jesus. That's my line about him.
We have
Macho
Fawad's diatribe on Liam Neeson on our website.
Yeah, he's Macho Jesus. He's a time traveler who travels through time and space, saving us. Saving his daughter, his dog, everyone who gets kidnapped gets saved by him. Jewish people from concentration camps get saved by him. Everyone.
He trained Batman. He trained
He
Obi-Wan.
trained Batman. He trained Obi-Wan.
So
Liam Neeson.
He was Zeus.
Yeah, he releases the Kraken. This is a true fact. Liam Neeson, Ra's al Ghul, his manhood is so big that they have to let his pants out. Every single pair of pants. This is true. Look it up. Every single pair of pants that Liam Neeson has to wear in a movie, they have to let his pants out. I know somebody who knew somebody who had to let all the pants out in a Liam Neeson movie.
you
He's
were
so
friends with
big.
somebody who was friends with a crotch wrangler?
Yeah. No, he's so powerful man. He's got the Force. He releases that Kraken.
What? Look that up on Google.
True. He should play all the superheroes. Play all the superheroes. Get back on topic.
All right. Okay, so
true.
We know that in the comics they occasionally kill characters off, right? And we've got some of the comics, like with Captain America, you talked about how Bucky could possibly take over. How do you think they're going to handle these types of things on screen? Because movie-going fans are very different from comic book fans.
Right.
Right? So they get very used to someone as being a specific character, and then all of a sudden you kill them off and make somebody else that character.
Right.
How do you think that should be handled?
I do think for Captain America there's a good setup, because even in the comics when they had the Winter Soldier stuff, when they reintroduced Bucky, it was very well done for a character. One of the 3 or 4 deaths in comics that actually meant anything, and a character that stayed dead for for dozens of years, or compared to so many others where they die, they come back a year later, 6 months later. So for when Captain America did die a few years ago at the end of the Civil War story, they had Winter Soldier take over, and it just worked. It worked for about 3 years. He was in the role, and people were like, "Man, I like his take better, him as Captain America better than I like Steve Rogers." And it won a lot of people over, and there were people who were disappointed even that Steve Rogers came back. When he first came back, he didn't necessarily become Captain America again. He was first kind of leading S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time with a restructuring after Civil War and stuff. But it sounds like with that actor, they've got him lined up for several more movies over the next few years, and I know that that Chris Evans has said he's like, yeah, after the next few movies I'm kind of out. I don't want to do superhero movies or whatever. So with that, it sounds like it would make sense to at least for that character. In some cases, it is going to be tough to recast. I can't imagine anyone easily taking over Wolverine and people going, oh yeah, he's much better. So we'll see what happens with.
I think it can work with the way they have it set up, because they even have everyone present with the last Captain America movie to kill them off.
Right.
They have Sharon Carter. They have Crossbones.
Right.
They have all these characters present to execute that.
Right.
And with Chris Evans no longer wanting to do it after his contract being up at 6, with the 6th movie being Avengers 3, they don't have to replace the character of Chris of Steve Rogers, because now it's just going to be Bucky.
Yeah.
So it's you're not replacing Steve Rogers. You're just having someone else take the mantle of Captain America, and I think with the way they're going, I think they'll handle that very well.
I'm kind of depressed by the disposable nature of our civilization or our society right now, in that we have these reboots and reboots and reboots. We got basketball teams that get shuffled around every time they win a championship. Everybody buys the players and they end up somewhere else. It's like when we grew up in whenever the hell we grew up. I don't know how old you guys are, but Dan Marino played for the Dolphins. That was it. Dan Marino played for the Dolphins. Christopher Reeve was Superman, and that was kind of the thing, and it lasted a long time. And you had this kind of rock hard thing. Hulk Hogan's on the TV for a long time, and he's a good guy. But then as time has gone on, things have shifted so much. Now we have reboots every couple of years. That Spider-Man reboot happened so quickly, and
there's a reason for that.
Well,
apparently we've talked about this before.
But I mean, in general now, it's so common that we're going to have new Fantastic Four all of a sudden. We're going to have new... again, it's mega corporations that are shifting things around so quickly to make profits that we're having to... But we live in the age of Imgur and of everything being instant gratification.
Honestly, I agree with that because...
Yeah, shorter attention spans.
Because they're rebooting it because, these companies that own, at least currently, the rights to, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Spider-Man, they don't want to lose the rights to those, so they have to. If they don't put out a movie, it goes back to Marvel, which I wish they would actually just let it go back to Marvel.
Yeah.
Although I like that when in that horrible piece of crap, X-Men 3, unless Brett Ratner is watching, because I hear he's from Miami, and I'd like to be in your films, Mr. Ratner. So please know I'm just joking when I insult X-Men 3. It's a great film. The horrible piece of crap, X-Men 3, when they killed Professor X, at least they had the good sense and decency, Bryan Singer did, to bring back the real Professor X, Patrick Stewart.
So I feel like Bryan Singer, his message to the previous franchise runner, I won't mention by name, that we've talked about just now.
Ragnar? He didn't run the franchise. He ran one movie. Okay,
but
it's still Laura Schiller.
I think Bryan Singer was just kind of going, "Hey, Ratner."
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because the real idiot behind everything is Laura Schiller Donner, who is the executive producer. Again, Miss Donner, if you're watching this, I love your films. And I would not by being a... It's really interesting because the people behind the scenes, you got Jeff Johns over at DC, who used to be an assistant to Richard Donner in Hollywood, and then he came out and he took over DC Comics. And then over here in Marvel side, running Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, who used to be an assistant to Laura Schuler Donner, who is Richard Donner's wife, who produces all the X-Men. So it's one family controlling everything.
Right.
Okay.
Making all the bad decisions, like Will.i.am.
Here's the thing. I think superhero movies weren't taken seriously before.
Yeah.
We got Christopher Reeve's Superman. I love Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Of course.
Those are not good movies.
That's Richard Donner, though. Okay. So it's the same family controlling everything.
My point is, those were not
They were good movies.
No, they were not.
Yeah, they were.
They were terrible movies.
You go to hell.
Okay. They are.
You even like the fourth one?
Huh? Yeah.
They were a huge part of my
Man?
childhood. Sucked as films. Okay.
What?
They were terrible
What are you
movies.
talking about?
Okay. Christopher Reeve will always be Superman in my heart.
You're wrong.
But the movies were terrible.
Why are they terrible? Because Superman wasn't destroying the city?
They were
They're going to
cheesy.
feel dated.
No, they
they're
weren't.
not necessarily
They
going to
weren't
hold up
campy.
against today's special effects
Right.
or even storytelling.
They
but
will.
overall,
But,
it's not bad.
and that's where I was going with this.
You're wrong.
Right.
Is they're taking these movies now, they're taking them more seriously. They have the special effects capabilities to run these things, and they are putting out a better product.
No.
So I'm okay with
That depends.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Because, I mean, X-Men Origins
Wolverine.
and the Wolverine.
Look in a couple years. Look at X-Men: Days of Future Past. That is a much better story.
It was a reset button.
Yeah, and they were figuring that out, and that is my point. And that is what Christopher Nolan's Batman's franchise really launched.
Yeah.
That's what the Marvel franchise has really solidified, was that you can take these properties and treat them with respect, treat them seriously, and they are cash cows. I mean, some of these movies are in the $1 billion club easily. Which, by the way, Frozen just joined the $1 billion club. Just saying.
Well, I think you're dead
Elsa
wrong.
could have been an X-Man.
I think you're wrong. This whole thing actually starts with Superman 1. Superman 1 was the movie that made comic book movies possible, serious. You will believe a man could fly. We did. And if you rewatch that movie, it holds up very well. It was respectful. It was respectful of the subject matter. The story holds up well. The acting's great, and they
were respectful.
Krypton was made of styrofoam and glitter.
So what?
And people died doing cartwheels.
Suspension
He
of disbelief,
reversed
man.
time.
Huh? Yeah, but by that's what the character was doing.
By spinning the Earth backwards.
That's what the character was doing in the comics at the time. It was reflective of the comics.
which they fixed because they started to realize, all right, Superman's kind of dumb now.
Well, they rebooted it. I mean, look, these things evolve over time. It's a 75-year-old character. They're all soap operas that never end.
Reboot, but you don't want.
No, I'd rather they don't. They evolve. They evolve. Reboot meaning fixing everything. I disagree with, but as far as an evolution of the character, I really like Superman. Batman one, the original Batman with Michael Keaton. I thought it was great too.
Not after Michael Keaton left.
Right.
After Michael Keaton left,
First
it went to garbage.
But what Nolan did with the comics, which also is his co-writer David Goyer, Jeff Johns' his writing partner in comics,
Right.
and again, kind of this little family that's been rebooting all of our comic movies. They did a good job. I think they also, unfortunately, set a grim tone, which DC is going to have to shake loose if they want to compete with Marvel, because Marvel's having fun with their movies. But yeah, that was solid 3 movies. I'll give you that.
Okay. All right.
Despite the Batman voice.
I'm going to start a fight now. What do you guys think of the handling of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tie-in to the cinematic universe? And
I love the tie-ins.
Things like what they've announced with Jessica Jones, I believe it is, and Iron Fist, and Luke Cage.
They're also doing
Netflix.
They're doing an Agent Carter show.
Yeah, but that's going to be
a show.
A show.
Right. Yeah.
These are going to be like network shows, Netflix shows like House of Cards.
Right.
So what do you guys think about them bringing these second-tier characters to the smaller screen?
I'm excited for it. Jessica Jones it was a comic called Alias that ironically enough came out the same month as the ABC TV show Alias. It had a similar logo and everything, female lead. People were like, "Oh, I don't watch the show." I was like, "This comic has nothing to do with it." But it's the character's fantastic. I think Brian Michael Bendis, who wrote that is my favorite thing he's ever written. It's a 28-issue run and it's just phenomenal. And it's this female sort of private eye that used to be a superhero, and you eventually learn why she is no longer a superhero and no longer associates with the Avengers, but she goes in and out of helping Captain America with this, something you can't really ask the other Avengers for help with, and it's not a kid's book at all. It's absolutely not kid-friendly. It's one of the darker books Marvel's done, but Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and those characters, I think, have the capacity to do some cool stuff as a TV series, and I'm a big TV guy. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I enjoyed it. I think there were people that hated it right from day one when they went in expecting a weekly Avengers show. That wasn't going to happen. But when you see Samuel Jackson show up as Nick Fury, you're like, oh my God, this is this giant moment. You know, I think they played it well, even with Maria Hill and some of the other characters in and out of the movies. And so I really enjoyed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the beginning, but especially with that turn after Captain America 2. Those last 6 or 7 episodes were absolutely incredible.
Oh my, those were so good. I don't really personally know some of the third-tier characters like Luke Cage and stuff very well. I've heard the names here and there, but I'm excited to actually learn about them via these shows because why not? You have this huge universe of Marvel with all these interlocking characters that interact with each other and have gone through. I've talked to the Avengers, or I've been part of the Avengers and done this. I like the fact that it's all coexisting. Unlike, what some other companies are doing, Fox. But that I'm going to enjoy being able to see all that.
I think the more interesting battle now shaping up is on TV. I think I don't watch too many of these shows, just don't have time. But from what I understand, DC is kicking butt on TV now. They got Arrow that did well, and that it's leading into the Flash, and it's now they're going to have a bunch of other shows, Constantine, etc. But the
thing is,
Marvel's got one now, right, with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's had a lopsided start from what everyone's saying, but now it's picking up steam, building to the thing. I watched a couple episodes. It didn't resemble anything that I'm familiar with in the Marvel comics. It resembled more of a Joss Whedon show, and his fans like his style of dialogue and stuff.
Hold up. People. And it's not just people here. People in general. Joss Whedon is an executive producer. Joss Whedon does have input on the show. This is not a Joss Whedon show. Jed Whedon is running the show.
Whatever. It seems like a Joss Whedon show when you watch it as a non.
I actually wrote about this one a little bit. I felt like they were taking from Joss Whedon shows and kind of giving you familiar things, and I did not like that.
Yeah.
But this show has definitely found its own legs.
Well, look, his shows are more about like this quirky character interaction. That's what Buffy and Angel were, and it's a slow build-up of an ensemble cast that you wouldn't quite expect being put in different situations. That's not what we wanted as fans from a Marvel show. We wanted the bright, flashy Marvelness, and DC started doing that with Arrow, and they had a training ground with Smallville for many, many years, and it evolved into a weird thing under Jeff Johns, really. And but I think they learned from it, and now they're
I don't know,
pretty well with Arrow.
Some of the seasons of Smallville were very good. There was a couple of bad seasons, like the third and fourth or fourth and fifth, I forget which. There was where it was like Monster of the Week. Yeah. Those weren't very good, but the rest of it actually had a decent story to it. And the thing that bothers me about these newer shows that they're doing, like with Green Arrow and things like that, is they don't tie in at all really to like small. They're not going to go back and visit that and have like Michael Rosenbaum, or at least have that kind of iconic Lex Luthor be there and existing. It's like they don't want the stuff to interact with each other, right?
Well, they're going to have the Flash in the same universe. The interesting thing is that, I mean, we shouldn't forget, we talked about the short attention span nature of society nowadays, but we shouldn't forget that for 10 years, we had a comic book show on TV, which was Smallville, which was the dominant comic book
terrible,
show.
Though.
But it was
it was.
Did you watch all of it?
It went through many different iterations, but it was a dominant comic book show on television for 10 years. And the showrunners from there, like Stephen S. Knight, is going to be one of the showrunners on one of these new comic shows. I forget which one.
Just forgot. Drew Goddard is leaving to go to do the movie for Sinister Six, I think it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's taking over for that instead of...
For which show?
For the Daredevil show.
Right. So we have the same, again, cadre of people in the background that are doing stuff, that have been doing stuff. So watch what they did. And
so I want you to understand something. I had a love-hate relationship with Smallville. Yeah. I watched it religiously. Yeah. I watched every episode. Okay, but it was terrible. It tore apart the continuity
Up until when?
Of who Superman really was.
It changed drastically when the showrunners changed.
I watched all of it from the beginning
yeah,
to the end.
But look, it changed drastically when the showrunners changed. Like when Miles Millar and what's his Gao, whatever you say, Albert Go. Yeah. When they were running, it was different. It was kind of coherent, and then it just kept switching hands, and it ended weird.
But even from the very beginning, they would do these stupid things, like insinuate that he got the S on his uniform from his high school mascot, which was a Smallville Crow. No, that was stupid. That was stupid, and I hated that. But I loved the idea of what Superman would do when he wasn't being super.
That was like you could take it that way, but then if you actually look later on in the seasons, you see that that's not true. I mean, the S is definitely not from that. The S is definitely from Krypton.
Right. But like when they're hazing him, right, and they tie him to the pole and they paint the S on his chest.
Yeah, but these are just little. These are just little details. Jose. I mean, I'm talking about the whole show.
To show him, yes, he's gonna eventually have. And that's part of the thing was, yes, they started introducing other characters that were on Justice League. They had Aquaman, they had Cyborg. But the thing is,
people want a Justice League movie, they've already had it.
The thing is, they couldn't have him in the costume because he refused, at least at that point in time, to wear the costume.
Well, no, that's actually not true. Because the writers actually said that they wanted to make something that was their own, and the moment they put him in the costume, he wasn't theirs anymore.
Well, look, they're doing the same. Look, guys, the point is they're doing the same show. They're doing the same show. It's called Arrow now. It's the same basic thing. Let's have this guy before he becomes Green Arrow. But they're trying to learn from some of the mistakes. They're making it a little more gritty, make it a little more darker, and they're doing pretty well with it. Huh?
Don't yell at me.
I got to you. You're loud. Across the table.
You yell at us.
They're doing it pretty well. Marvel's got the Whedon thing going on. DC's got this stuff going on. Let's see how they play out. They're duking it out. We're gonna have the Constantine show on
Marvel's
NBC.
totally winning with like a landslide here.
No, they're winning the movies. They're not winning on TV.
No, not TV.
I will say Arrow is a good show.
Arrow's great.
I've really enjoyed watching Arrow. I'm sure. Again, I didn't follow Green Arrow in comics,
right?
So I'm sure they're butchering his backstory.
Right? No, it's not. It's really not. Green Arrow Year One is one of my favorite. Is probably my favorite Green Arrow story. That and the Brad Meltzer wrote an incredible story called Archer's Quest. Those are my two favorite stories. Green Arrow Year One is literally the origin of the 5 years on the island. Like he wasn't 5 years on the island, but the island thing. They built off Green Arrow Year One, best Year One story other than Batman Year One. It's
that's good.
Apparently, DC also thinks that Green Lantern is the Green Arrow.
Right. Oh, I saw. Yeah, exactly. On some merchandise,
DC put out a shirt that had the Green Lantern on it, and it says Green Lantern, the Emerald Archer.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. It's really sad.
All right, so we got to move this along here. So last thing, best and worst of the movies we've talked about tonight.
Best for me is probably going to be Captain America 2, followed by X-Men and then Thor. Worst, a tie between Wolverine and Spider-Man. Oh my God!
No, they're not nearly the same. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Rick?
I also like Captain America 2 the best, and Spider-Man 2 just did not catch me on any level. I know plenty of like kids and families that loved it because the kids were excited about it, but like as an adult watching that movie, I was just like, man, there's so much good Spider-Man story to pull from, and this was just cheesy from start to finish for me. So yeah, I really enjoyed Cap 2 and thought that was great. Almost all the other movies we discussed, Spider-Man 2 just struck out for me, just didn't catch me.
Surprisingly, my favorite movie was Super Jarrell. It's freaking awesome. This guy's got this dragon butterfly lizard flying thing. He goes, Korax! And it comes out of nowhere. It's awesome. He dies. Oh, it's so good. So good. He jumps into the thing and he saves the baby's skull. Oh, amazing. Beautiful. And then my worst movie that I hated was Jonathan Kent discourages Clark Kent from ever becoming Superman. Which is interestingly the same movie. Really boring movie where Superman's dad just tries to get him not to use his powers ever and hide who he is and be ashamed of himself and let him die. Then he dies really dumbly. Like, it's horrible. And then the sequel to that, which is Superman Saves Nobody, which was just as bad as that earlier Superman movie, Superman versus the Helicopter, which came out a few years earlier, starring Brandon Routh. You guys see Superman versus the Helicopter? Superman Returns.
I thought it was.
He fights a helicopter.
I thought it was Superman's asthmatic son.
Yeah. That was a European title. Yeah, Superman Deadbeat Dad, Superman Asthmatic Son. These are some of my favorites and worst ones.
Up until just recently, it was Superman my favorite. I was really happy with that one, but Captain America 2 just
so good.
blew that out of the
water. A lot of
water.
beefcake in that movie.
I was actually a little offended by someone who called it action porn.
I'll buy that.
Not gonna name
Action
names.
porn, yeah,
No. You want action porn? Go watch.
Expendables or the Expendables.
Either Expendables or what's the other one? Raid Redemption.
The Raid Redemption.
That's action porn.
That's action porn. That is hardcore action porn. That's a badass movie.
Off topic.
Just saying.
Off
but
topic.
That's action porn. Captain America 2 was a good, coherent story.
Yeah. Hail Hydra.
Yes, Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
I have a few Hail Hydra memes out there. Just a few.
Hail Hydra.
Right.
Robert Redford.
Robert Redford. And the worst for me is not Spider-Man. It is my second worst. The worst for me was the Wolverine.
So wait, Spider-Man's your second worst?
My second worst, yes.
So you still say that it is not a good movie?
I'm saying it is not. Is not any of this group of movies that we talked about. Not one of my favorites.
Can I say something about the Wolverine? Am I the only one who feels really sorry for all the normal humans that get murdered by the Wolverine constantly? That's not a fair fight. That guy is immortal.
It's not a fair
and he's
fight,
got
but
like
he kills
indestructible things. He's killing all these poor Japanese
Yakuza.
Yakuza.
Criminals.
Totally unfair fight.
Look at Captain America.
These four guys are climbing on top of a super train just to fight this guy.
Look
How
at
brave are these normal human beings
look at
to
Captain
fight this
America.
crazy monster
Look at Captain
at
America.
high speed?
He didn't even use claws, and he was killing people left and right.
Captain America is a
No,
straight up murderer.
Batroc is the real hero. Batroc is the real hero.
God.
He stands up to him like a normal human man.
Batroc the Leaper.
Yes.
Batroc the Leaper is the real hero.
And he calls
Super
him out
direct.
on it. He's like, "Oh, I thought you were more than a shield."
Yeah, he's like, what?
Well, he did. He's like, all right, bitch. He's like, all right, bitch, let's go.
Yeah, which again solidifies my theory that this was a shield movie.
Yeah. Oh, another random
No,
thing.
it's
Another
still
random
totally
thing I wanted to
Captain
say that I
America.
didn't say was Marvel's one-shots are better than Marvel's TV shows. They
Marvel's
should just-
one shots. Wait, what?
They're superb.
Marvel
they're
doesn't have
better.
any TV shows.
The tag
You
on
didn't
there,
watch the
right.
show.
What
They're
Marvel
better. I
TV
saw
show?
3 episodes. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh,
Marvel's one-shots are way
no.
better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I would
The
say
Van Grimm was hilarious and awesome.
I would say they are. The Marvel one shots are very good,
They're great.
but
Better.
All
They're
hail
not
the
better than
king. All hail the king that fixed the Mandarin thing.
It's great.
That is what made Iron Man 3 okay. Otherwise, I would have been like, no, fuck Iron Man 3. That's the worst movie.
That little kid's hilarious. He sticks his tongue out.
Actually, that was hilarious. I really liked the interaction with Iron Man, or Tony Stark and the kid. He was
oh,
like,
I thought that was the worst part of that movie.
No, it
what?
was great. It was
I
great.
love the.
Hated that kid.
I loved
Hated that kid.
that little thing they had
I
going.
wanted
Yeah,
to
it
get
was
stepped
great.
on by somebody.
It was good.
He's a little shit.
No.
He's like, I'm cold.
No, the thing is, all right. So Iron Man
Because we got
had
a connection
to deal with.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. So Iron Man had these issues dealing with the aliens, and why didn't Captain America have these issues?
Because he was dead for 70 years and he recovered from that.
He already fought
What the
Hydra.
hell does he
Yeah.
care? He's like, yeah, aliens, whatever. I was dead. I'm like Jesus. So.
No, I
was cool.
want to see.
He's
Mark,
like, I'm like Liam Neeson.
I want to see Mark Ruffalo deal with it though,
Pretty awesome.
being the Hulk.
I do want to see a Hulk movie. Looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Should be fun. I was actually scared when they showed the short clip of that. I thought the tone of it was terrible. It kind of looked like the old Doctor Who series, which I love Doctor Who, but I just didn't think that's appropriate for the big screen. But having seen more of what they've done, I'm very confident it's going to be a great movie. Brandon, you had mentioned some other movies that were getting made.
Yeah, they haven't actually said they're going to redo Ghost Rider, but like Ghost Rider is one of the titles that they have back now. So they own Ghost Rider. They could easily make another movie, but they've talked about She-Hulk, Doctor Strange, Khazar. I'm not even sure what that is.
He's Tarzan.
He's Tarzan in the Marvel Universe. Basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Savage Land and all that.
Miss Marvel is another one. They're definitely going to start expanding on a lot of these characters because the material's there.
Yeah, it's a rich universe.
And they're going to continually make it interlocking and coexisting with all the other movies.
It's nice when a mega corporation gets its shit together.
All right, leave the mega corporations alone. All right.
It's nice when they get their
The
shit
poor
together and start
megacorporations
making
haven't
good
done
product.
anything
I'm just
to
saying
you
it's nice.
other
It
than
is,
destroy
look,
the
as
environment and raise
a
taxes.
consumer unit,
So
I enjoy when my entertainment product is well manufactured.
Wait, how many comics do you own?
$30,000.
Thank you.
I win.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I didn't know. It's forcing my dad to spend all that money. I didn't know.
Rick, what are you looking forward to?
I'm excited about Guardians. I'm excited about next year's crop of TV stuff from DC as well, and just hopefully it continues at the right pace that's going on now, which is just more often than not. I enjoy my time checking out comic movies in the theaters. There's been a lot of good stuff coming out, and for the most part, they're on the right track. If DC can step it up after Superman, Batman, Dawn of Justice leads into a Justice League movie and go from there to expand their universe. They're kind of almost doing the opposite of what Marvel did, having all these individual movies lead into Avengers. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes as they have the potential. That's the cool thing. They at least have all the rights to all their characters. So it's not like, oh, man, we can't use these characters over here. Because
Yes,
that is true.
Yes, it is true. Although I have purposely avoided talking about the follow-up to Man of Steel.
Right.
Which apparently isn't going to be Man of Steel 2 because that would take over the whole show.
Right.
They could have not called it Man of Steel 2. If they wanted to just go with a different name, they could have just said Dawn of Justice. That would have been fine.
Yes, but whatever.
And then I'm disturbed by Ben Affleck playing Batman because he's done a superhero and he did it poorly.
Let's be objective though.
That was
a long time ago.
Either.
It's a long time ago. It was a bad, poorly written movie, and he's proven that he can do some really good acting since then.
I want to lay some knowledge on y'all. You have to watch out for the hairstylist on a superhero movie, okay? If the superhero's hair is bad, like Ben Affleck's was in Daredevil 1, you look at his hair, it's atrocious, right? X-Men 3.
Or Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh's hair is bad. Bad hair. The X-Men 3, Wolverine, they got the hair wrong. You could tell a good Wolverine movie is by the hair quality, okay? You got to watch that. That's how you know if it's going to be good or bad. Nicolas Cage's hair in those Ghost Rider movies always weird.
Hair?
Any movie.
Strange.
Hair?
Yeah, he's got hair.
I'm just saying.
Wish they would just do separate movies. I would like to see, regardless of what stupidity they have going on in their heads, I'd like to see a Wonder Woman movie.
Stop.
Right, don't get there.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Don't make me go on this road, man.
We have to.
I don't have another 2 hours.
This is part of the thing. This is part of the thing. We have to go there.
You know what? I'm making an executive decision right here. We are doing a show just about that.
And Cyborg. I don't know. Cyborg might be a weird movie, but that could be fun.
Yeah. I don't see them racing into a Cyborg solo movie. He can't even do his own solo comic, but they have incorporated him into the Justice League, kind of taking Martian Manhunter's place last year. So they're trying to make that version work and all the cartoon movies they've done and stuff. So it's interesting. That's the other thing.
If they could have a raccoon with a machine gun, they could do a Cyborg movie.
It's true.
I think the real thing to watch is, like I've been saying throughout, is the showrunners, the producers behind the scenes, the people. I think Marvel, Kevin Feige, and Marvel Studios have their shit together.
Very much so.
And they're doing good, coherent product overall. I think DC still, Nolan and Goyer were kind of the power behind the throne. We don't know. Now Zack Snyder's kind of involved. His vision is different, not as coherent, I don't think. Let's see. We don't know. We all thought Marvel was never going to get together. We had no idea how they were going to do Marvel.
I could be very surprised by the new movie because I was surprised with Superman. I was surprised with Man of Steel. Oh my God, those fights were fucking awesome.
And you wouldn't think that Green Arrow would be a property that they could do well, but they managed to do it. So we have to wait and see what's going to happen. But I'm waiting for the Heckler movie. So Heckler was a fantastic character. He lasted about 13 issues by Keith Giffen. It's one of the best comics ever created. You need to look it up and buy those back issues, folks. Because the idea was time has come as the Heckler.
Speaking of comics and comic book movies, we are actually in a comic book shop. Right, Rick. What are the books to go to? What if you wanted to get people in here to buy some stuff, what would you buy?
Here's the short list, I guess. There's about 10. We'll go shoot through these in record time. Here's some stuff, kind of going over some of the stuff we've talked about. There's books like Captain America: Winter Soldiers, where they first brought back the character, and it was like I said, a character that I actually did an interview with Ed Brubaker, the writer, at the time, and I was like, "You're bringing back a character who's been dead for 65 years?" And it was like, "Well, you got to kind of trust me off the and off everything else he'd written, it worked out great." But yeah, he brought back a character who'd been dead for decades, and it really worked. And it worked when you replaced Captain America after the death of Captain America in Civil War. So that was really good.
Hope he got paid.
Right, indeed. Oh, he did. Yeah, he actually has a cameo as one of the scientists in the movie, so
Oh,
it's pretty
nice.
cool. Yeah, it was
That's
cool that they
cute.
worked that in there.
That's great.
Which is funny because when they first announced Winter Soldier, he was like, "How come no one told me about this? The next movie is going to be Winter Soldier. Why am I finding out about this on Twitter? That would have been nice for them to give me the heads up on that. I kind of wrote the story and created the character." So, Invincible Iron Man came out around the same time as the first Iron Man movie, which is great because the comics that were out for Iron Man at the time were terrible before that. So the character of Iron Man in the movie, I think, is more entertaining than the comics, but this gets him right. Invincible Iron Man, there's 11 volumes in here, phenomenal. Matt Fraction and Salvador Roca do every single issue for just almost 70 issues. This character, knock it out of the park. Thor Straczynski's run, part of Thor 1, Thor 2, they've taken from here, and just did a great job, a great reboot of the character, not quite as Shakespearean as he used to be, where he used to talk very, thou, and just everything with the Shakespearean dialogue kind of went away. But this is my favorite take on Thor in the comics so far. Days of Future Past, of course, is the big X-Men story that the movie was based on. Overall, I felt like they did a pretty good job of making sense of it, bringing it to the big screen. So I would have loved to see this image or the other cover of Wolverine getting shredded by a Sentinel, but overall they did a great job with it. And yeah, it's one of my favorite X-Men stories, and the movie really paid off. Astonishing X-Men, another great X-Men take on these characters that Joss Whedon did. And this was one of the things where, he has so many great moments with these characters where it's just one scene of Cyclops going, "Man, I need to lead them, and I need to do this, and I need to make sure they trust me and they respect me, and blah, blah, blah." And Emma Frost is like, "Oh, well, I feel like I need to, prove to them I'm not a villain anymore. I'm a hero. I'm here to save the X-Men." And then Wolverine's just fighting Sentinels. And he goes, "I like beer." And that's him at the end of the page. And it was that showing that Joss Whedon could really, get these characters, these Marvel characters, and it's paid off in Avengers.
I love the moment where Cyclops finally comes of his own, and he gives the psychic call.
Right.
What is it? To me, my X-Men.
Yeah, so good, mirroring kind of the
Cyclops
Professor
nerds.
Xavier moment.
People with glasses like Cyclops.
Right.
Well,
Sorry.
Wolverine Logan is the one of the things where you see Wolverine was around during the time the bomb was dropped, and that was something that was cool to see in the Wolverine movie. Brian K. Vaughan, one of my favorite writers, writes Saga, my best-selling book, Why the Last Man. Probably my favorite writer. He and Robert Kirkman from Walking Dead are just killing it on everything they do. So this is a great Wolverine story, very self-contained and fantastic run. Going to the Batman stuff with all the DC Universe. Batman, the current stuff going on right now is fantastic. Some of the best Batman stories that we've seen in years, and hands down right up there with the Frank Miller stuff of the 80s as the best thing DC's putting out right now.
Snyder, right? The writer?
Scott Snyder is absolutely phenomenal on there. Came out of almost nowhere and has just been killing it the last few years. Everything he's written has been phenomenal. Superman Earth 1, J. Michael Straczynski did a great job on coming up with a kind of more modern take on Superman that's very obviously a little more grim than your standard Superman stuff, but overall a really, really good book. I certainly enjoyed, and you could dive right in without any knowledge of the character, and which most people know at least something about him. But the last few are Guardians of the Galaxy, which is obviously going to be the next big hit movie, and this is a great take on the characters and really going to get you in their head and explains who they are and what they're there for. So that if you want to know more about the character before the movie comes out in a few months, this is definitely the place to go. And obviously Marvel's leading up to Infinity Gauntlet is the big giant thing that all the Marvel movies, Phase 2, Phase 3, are kind of setting it up for Thanos. They originally were looking at Thanos in Avengers 2, and then said, wait, if we do that for 2, how can we possibly go back to 3 and do something else? So Avengers 3 will be Thanos, Avengers 2 will be Ultron, and this will really, really be kind of the culmination of, 15 years of Marvel movies kind of building up to this by the time, 12, 15 years by the time it happens. So I'm excited to see as they get closer to Avengers 3 and Infinity Gauntlet.
Josh Brolin's going to pay.
I was just going to say, speaking of which, they have cast Josh Brolin as Thanos.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Very good. I have a feeling we're going to see him before we see him in the culmination.
Of course, yeah, right.
So,
well, I believe you'll, from what I heard at least, you'll see him in Guardians of the Galaxy.
They said he was going to be in there. If it is,
not as
I
want to say not as like the villain, but around.
Yeah.
Well, they had a nice.
I can wait. I hope they treat it right.
They had a nice miniseries recently of like Thanos' origin, where they redid it in a nice take.
Right. The recent Thanos series was great. They've done some pretty cool stuff with that character. So.
All right, guys, we've been going for a little over an hour now. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Rick, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very, very cool.
This is your comic shop, Famous Faces and Funnies. I know you do a lot of events here. You want to talk about some of those?
Real quick, we do a monthly comic book roundtable. The next one going on is June 18th, Wednesday, from about 7 o'clock to about 10:30 or 11. We just talk about our favorite comics, comic movies, TV shows, all sorts of stuff, and then do comic trivia. Everyone that shows up, even if you don't get any questions right or anything, we give you a free graphic novel poster or something like that, just for coming out and checking it out. We have pizza, we have soda, we have a bunch of people here just hanging out, having a fun time, and it's a good, very nerd-friendly environment, as is our store always. So that's the big stuff. We just wrapped up Free Comic Book May, and then we'll have a few things going on in July, including a kind of anniversary of moving into this spot the first weekend of July, and then going into a Florida Comics Experience Year 2 show that we put on, which is going to be at the Old Galaxy Civic Center on August 9th. So yeah, those are the next few things going on in our store. As you know, May was Free Comic May. Every Saturday in May was a madhouse. So we're kind of, June's a little more low key as we recover from that and build into some other things late in the summer. So.
All right. And Fawad, thank you for joining us, driving all the way up from Miami.
No problem. My car died on the way here. It's a good thing that I got paid all that money. Just cover that cost right there.
And what do you have coming up?
I'm going to be on Graceland Season 2. It's on USA Network. You can see me check the season premiere on June 11th. Playing a character on that, Arash, and the Iranian. And it's a stretch for me, the Iranians. I'm a Pakistani guy. But I'm also, you can still catch me on Netflix and some of the things I did in the past. Homeland Season 2, Episode 7, getting busted by the FBI. I was on Burn Notice Season 2, Episode 3, Pakistani embassy chief. Had a shouting match with Bruce Campbell on that.
Good thing you're not typecast.
Nope. Well, they're different. That's Pakistani embassy chief. And on Army Wives, I played an Afghani sergeant on Season 5, Episode 1 and 4. They had a series-ending TV movie, which apparently I was also utilized on because they sent me a check for that, so that was nice. And I perform improv comedy in Miami and South Florida area with Impromedy, 3 Fridays out of the month. So Impromedy, check them out at Artistic Vibes. And that's it. This is a great comic store. Thanks for having me. Shout out to my wife, Maria. She's torturing me right now.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Last thing, of course, like, favorite, subscribe. Let us know what you thought, if you agree or disagree with us in the comments. And we're going to be giving away 2 IMAX tickets to Guardians of the Galaxy. So leave your comments. They must be coherent. And we will choose our favorite out of all of the comments. You must leave us a way to contact you, obviously. And we will pick our favorite comment, and that will get to, regardless of where
funny
you are
comments
in the continental United States, and provided that there is an IMAX theater near you.
Funny comments.
And funny comments are
favorite.
Funny comments are okay as well, but again, coherent, not just boobs or GTFO or something like that.
Right.
But they are GTFO.
All right. Well, so that's Fawad, Rick, Brandon, and me saying it's a wrap.